In this audio log, I would like to talk about the character history of a guy called Kaine. He is currently the new Scarlet Spider in Marvel Comics, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the early days of the character and how he has evolved over the years, and who he is now is not who he was originally. Back during the 1990s, there was something in the Spider-Man books called the Clone Saga. Well, in the 1970s, there was a couple of issues of the original Clone Saga, and that was a Peter Parker clone, later named Ben Reilly. He was a duplicate of Spider-Man, and he supposedly got destroyed, and that was it. Anyway, the 90s happened. They bring back the Clone Saga, they bring back Ben Reilly, say he survived. But then another clone appears, and this clone is called Kaine. And Kaine is an assassin. He's a killer. He's a bad guy. What you find out is that before Peter Parker had a clone, the perfect clone named Ben Reilly, the Jackal who made these clones had an imperfect clone of Peter Parker who the Jackal rejected. His body was degenerating and he was like falling apart, and he was not a perfect clone, and so he was banished. And that was Kaine. And he was the first clone that succeeded, supposedly, and then Ben Reilly came later, and he was the perfect clone. What you should know now is this whole idea of Kaine being the first clone. This was a 1990s concept that they shoehorned in, because the original 1970s concept did not have him in it. That was just a new idea that they put him in there. With that said, he was a bad guy, and this Kaine would always go after Ben Reilly and torment him. And no one really knew why. He tormented him because he didn't want Ben Reilly to ruin Peter Parker's life. But also, it's because he was jealous in a way that he wasn't the perfect one, that he was not the chosen one, and that Ben Reilly was. And so that's why he also hated him. Eventually, Ben Reilly gets killed by the Green Goblin, and he degenerates. He's gone. Ben Reilly was also the Scarlet Spider, the original one in the original costume. After the events of the Clone Saga in the 90s wrapped up, Kaine disappeared from all the comic books. He was one of those loose ends that Marvel did not want to talk about again. Anyway, a couple of years ago, Kaine, who's still degenerating, is brought back. His powers originally were different than Spider-Man. His strength was bigger, and instead of having a spider sense, he could actually sense the future and see some events that might be happening. His abilities were like hyped up. In the current years, the writers decide that Kaine no longer has a degenerating problem. Now his body is okay, and he looks like Peter Parker more. His skin is fine. He reforms. He's no longer a killer, or wants to be. He takes a costume, a spare one from Spider-Man, and he gets known as the Scarlet Spider, or the new Scarlet Spider, because he does not look like the original one costume design-wise. And so he also has a new look. He shaves his hair, and he has a new attitude. And while Spider-Man had organic webbing in the comic books for a little bit, and claws, it looks like they used those ideas because Kaine's powers changed. He can no longer see the future, and he has claws, and he has organic webbing. So the ideas that they didn't use for Spider-Man, they gave it to Kaine. He has his own solo book, and it's doing pretty good. And so that's the story of Kaine in comic books now. He was a 1990s idea that was supposed to be the first Peter Parker clone, and he's been around in the books, brought back on and off a couple of years. He's died a couple of times in the comic books, but he always returns. And I think the character's future now is that he probably will be this Scarlet Spider role, that his early days, that's probably not going to be the character's future anymore. And he's going to be sort of like an anti-hero and just has that Scarlet Spider identity, which is probably going to stay around with the character and stick around. So that's my thoughts on it. Let me know what you think about this video, if you want to see more of them, and thanks for watching.